A new subsection has been added to 314.24 in the 2023 National Electrical Code that states, where devices or equipment are mounted in boxes having side wiring entries, the conductors entering from the side shall be protected, as covered, in 1 or 2, as follows. The term side applies to any wall of a box other than the one opposite to the opening. The rearward projection of the device or equipment shall not extend beyond the center line of the wiring knockout or other entry, and the clearance from the box wall to the installed device or equipment shall be not less than 13 mm or 1/2 of an inch. Codemaking Panel 9 is adjusting the language by broadening the reach of this section to address side entries. Codemaking Panel 9 is aware of actual damage to conductors from installed devices or other equipment of sufficient size to create a conflict with entering conductors. The prevailing product standards create an acceptable size envelope for devices or other equipment mounted within boxes using yokes secured to customary gang points. This envelope is 1 3/4 of an inch wide by 2 13/16 of an inch high, with rounded corners, having a radius of 7/16 of an inch, and a plethora of devices take full advantage of this allotted profile. The same standards place no limitations on equipment depth. Codemaking Panel 9 has informally surveyed available designs and found enormous depth variations in the market, very much complicating the creation of this requirement. For nominal L3x2 device boxes, any side entrance at the level of the device is a non-starter and will fail the new rule. For a 4-inch square box with 2 device yokes, either on internal gang mounts or the more usual case of a plaster ring or raised cover, the rule gets interesting. The box interior will exceed the maximum device length by about 1 1/8 of an inch, and therefore accommodate a top or bottom entry considered in this statement as being in line with the yoke at either end. However, an entry at right angles to the yoke orientation, the standard gang spacing is 1 13/16 of an inch, would enter less than 1/4 of an inch of available space to accommodate both a cable or raceway connection, as well as wire manipulation. Attempts to force large devices into such spaces are what caused the loss experience cited in the substantiation for PI 2448. The NEC has not previously addressed this. The new rule will now prohibit such attempts. Codemaking Panel 9 does recognize that there are legitimate applications for which an entry, particularly in the case of rigid raceway methods, is preferred in this orientation. One solution is to use a larger, presumably a 4 11/16 of an inch, square box. Another solution is to lower the entry point by using a deeper box. The rule compares the depth of the equipment under its mounting yoke to the center line of the wiring entry. If that line is equal to or below the equipment limit, then the entry can be used. This may seem odd, but it is based on a careful geometric analysis that position the NEC limit of 9 number 12 THHN conductors in a cross-section of 1/2 of an inch, trade size EMT, and they all fit below the horizontal diameter of the EMT. In fact, as long as half the connector opening is unobstructed, in practice, the entire wire fill can be routed to safely enter the enclosure. There are listed raceway connectors that have a minimal, less than 1/4 of an inch, and no threads, extension, inside a box, and that make this approach practical. Codemaking Panel 9 is adjusting the wording to assure that the depth of boxes accommodates wiring method entries where those entry points line up with the backs of installed devices or equipment. A new subsection has been added to address the protection techniques where devices or equipment are mounted in boxes having side wiring entries. The protection techniques include The rearward projection of the device or equipment shall not extend beyond the center line of the wiring knockout or other entry, or the clearance from the box wall to the installed device or equipment shall not be less than 1/2 of an inch. The term side applies to any wall of a box, other than the one opposite to the opening.